Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Height and I'd like to ask you all a very important question. How many of you went through a loss of a baby unexpectedly? I know for myself, I personally went through it and it was one of the hardest times of my life. Not knowing the bad news with just a short minute, your mind starts racing and you start to ask yourself so many questions like, why me? Did I do something wrong? May have made a different choice with caffeine intake? Or maybe not went on that extra walk the other day for a mile. The truth is it's not the woman's fault. We always take the initiative to always want to blame ourselves when something goes wrong, no matter what the scenario is. I'm going to be talking about facts of why miscarriages happen so often, the effects that it has on women dealing with it psychologically and emotionally with dealing with the 5 grieving stages. This is so important as you may know or not know who could be dealing with this, with being able to be mentally supportive of others, with knowing the details of the hurt and loss of losing a baby. Which brings me to the importance why miscarriages happen every single day to so many women. Miscarriage is a sudden loss of pregnancy in the first 20 weeks of a woman's pregnancy. More than 80% of miscarriages happen in the first trimester, which is why so many women wait to share the exciting news of having a baby after they pass the 13th week. Generally speaking, means that they're out of their first trimester to shield. The most common cause, according to the American Pregnancy Association, APA, is a chance that there's a genetic abnormality in the embryo to shield. Other issues that can cause a miscarriage include chromosomal problems, hormone imbalance, uterine problems, chronic illness, and high fever to shield. The most common signs of a miscarriage is light spotting. Although it can be completely normal, it is still a concern, as this is an indication of an abnormal pregnancy to shield. Other signs include mild to severe cramps, pain in your back or abdomen, loss of pregnancy side effects such as nausea or vomiting, white pink mucus, and passing tissue or clot-like material to shield. Personally, for myself, that's how my first 2 miscarriages happened. It started with light spotting and then slowly progressed. With my first miscarriage, it was so terrifying. I was all alone with no support from anyone other than my mother. And the hardest part of it all was trying to stay strong for my 2 children. I literally felt as if I was in labor for over 2 days until I finally went to the emergency room to find out that I had to have a D&C done a couple hours later. The pain that I experienced in my back was so unbearable. I'm sharing this because it's so easy to know the facts, but actually to go through it, it's so terrifying to not know what's going to happen with having to live with that fear of even losing your baby, which is where the psychological impact of losing a baby comes in. There was a study done linking miscarriage and PTSD. This was done at Imperial College in London, which revealed developing PTSD was a risk identified within women that had taken their survey. Out of 113 women who recently miscarried or had an ectopic pregnancy did the survey based upon their feelings following their pregnancy loss, women's health. Many women stated PTSD-like symptoms, which included nightmares, flashbacks, and re-experiencing feelings associated with their loss. Some women also noted that they would stay away from situations that would remind them of their loss, such as pregnant friends or relatives, women's health. Which actually brings me to my own experience when I found out my sister-in-law was pregnant. It wasn't long after I had my first miscarriage that left me with a type of resentment and anger. I honestly felt bad for feeling that way with such amazing, beautiful news, but had a hard time controlling my own emotions in that given moment. I literally had no happy emotions. I was able to say congratulations, but at that same time, I was so sad. So I can literally relate to the feelings of just shutting people out. When you end up having to go through such a traumatic event in your life, literally such as this one, that you have no control over. The emotional side to all of this is the 5 stages of grievance, which includes denial, a literally refusal of not wanting to believe what happened. The second is anger, blaming others and yourself for your loss. Number 3 would be bargaining, striking a deal with God or yourself for things to return the way that they were. Number 4 would be depression, feeling listless, tired, despondent, guilty, punished, or like if you have nothing happy with pleasure or joy in your life at all. With being 5 is accepting, realizing that your life has to go on, and being able to regain your energy and your goals for your future. Bruce, being in the grieving stage, it can literally last anywhere from as little as a month to maybe even a year or more, depending on the severity of the miscarriage. Literally, the feelings are just so intense, and they're all encompassing. Believe it or not, though, over time, they actually tend to give up a little bit, giving ways to being relatively calm, well-being, and eventually acceptance. Bruce. Literally, the emotions of dealing with this kind of loss is so hard. Even if the woman's pregnancy ended early, it's still that sense of a bonding between the mother and baby can be so strong without even realizing it. Women experience feelings such as fatigue, trouble sleeping, difficulty concentrating, loss of appetite, frequent episodes of just crying, broken or suffering relationships between friends, your family, self-harm, suicidal attempts or actions, APA, hormonal changes after the miscarriage may potentially intensify the symptoms, APA. It is so important to watch out for loved ones that's dealt with this type of loss, to try to be there for support and love. You may not even know what to do or say. Just knowing that they have someone there that cares can really help a lot. I hope you understand why this topic is so important to actually be educated on, as it literally happens every single day, way more often than it seems. It's really hard actually going through the process of the initial miscarriage. But the harder part is the psychological end of it, with the emotional aspect of this type of loss. I really hope you were able to learn a lot from this speech, with being able to educate others and truly being able to be there for someone when they are going through it. Thank you very much for listening.